Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, this is how valuable you are. I think the universe would hide you in its pockets so that you would never be scratched and never receive a ding or a dent.
I'm preaching you just like I would have in the old days, just minus a few characters in the story.
There's no mention of God or Jesus.
Can I get a Darwin?
Prepare yourself for a journey of discovery. The book has been written, the speeches have been done, and now it is time to go between the pages with Jerry DeWitt and Bobby C.
Today's date is July 26, 2016. My name is Bobby C. And as always, I am joined by my amazing co-host, Mr. Jerry D.
Hello, Bobby C.
How you doing, Mr. Jerry D?
I'm doing very good, my friend.
Good,
it's good to hear your voice, and it's good to hear the strength in your voice. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I haven't had to take as much pain medication, so.
Well, you sound more like yourself.
Maybe
you really do.
Maybe we're on the upswing now, so.
Yeah, you have to be. I'm going to be honest with you. You and Ashley both, but since we're talking about you, I'll be more specific. You spoiled Kelly and I. We're spoiled to you. Okay. Whenever we first really started being friends and texting and phone calls and the show, of course, and all of that, I hate to put this kind of pressure on you because I know you're a giver and givers sometimes give too much, but we just got accustomed to just the sunshine that Bobby's voice brings into the world. And then it was like almost immediately after that, there was one little thing after another, and little things became big things. And at least for today, it sounds really good to hear the lilt and lift in your voice.
There's that brotherly love everybody talks about. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's I can tell you, this has probably been one of the hardest things that I've gone through physically. I can say that with utmost honesty, but I truly think that I'm stronger for it. That which doesn't kill us only makes us stronger.
Right.
But it's at the point now to where I haven't taken any pain medication at all today.
That's amazing.
Yep, that's a good thing. And I haven't had to, matter of fact, I don't think I took any yesterday either. So so it's slowly getting a little better, and I'm slowly getting my strength back and starting to get back into the swing of things. And I'm hoping that when I go for my follow-up this Thursday, that the doctor will say, yeah, you can go back to work.
Well, I hope he does too.
Me too.
If that's what you want to do. I would prefer that he says, hey, listen, I just did this scratch off and I won $20 million and I'm going to give you $1 million. So if you don't mind, just.
Sounds good to me.
You think you can handle that?
Yeah. Everybody says money can't buy you happiness. And I'm like, why don't you give me some and come back and see me in a year?
Yeah, let me try.
Let me try it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can tell you money can't buy you happiness.
No, but it sure makes things easier, doesn't it?
Well, it can buy everything else. So that's what's important.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And if you don't mind, once you take a minute, there may be some of our listeners. I know we got a very, very faithful family out there listening, but everybody may not be completely up to date on the crisis that you have faced, and I think it ties in completely and perfectly with tonight's show.
Okay, first let me get this out there, guys. If you want to get your questions or comments on the air, you can live tweet during the show at Hope After Faith, or you can join us in the chat room on Spreaker.com. We always love seeing everybody coming into the chat room. Our chat room is already going great. It is good to see Wendy, Todd, James, Kenny, and anybody else that I may have. I think I saw Trav in there as well. So it is good to see everyone here. If I missed you, I apologize, but it's good to see you here anyway. Now, as far as what I've been going through, I think most of the people that listen to my other show are probably going to be tired of hearing about this. But for those of you that have no idea, I've been battling a problem with one of the fingers on my right hand, and it's been an ongoing thing for about 4 months. I had a wound that would not heal at all. So I went to the doctor, and come to find out, the end result was cancer. And last Wednesday, I had my second surgery that I've had in a month, and they have removed part of that finger. I'm still covered up with all this gauze and bandages and everything else, so I'm not sure how much is gone. I'll find that out this coming Thursday. Yeah.
It's like a reverse Christmas present. It's like an anti-Christmas present, a bizarro Christmas present.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Unwrap it and I would have rather had a tie or some socks.
Yeah, me too. We are getting some people that are saying that the audio is dropping out really bad.
On my end, everybody's in. What's happening?
I don't know, because you sound fine to me. Everything seems to be working fine in Spreaker. And Skype seems to be working fine. You're not breaking up at all. So I don't know what the problem would be.
I don't know. Maybe on the other side of Spreaker.
It could be, or it could be that we have 2 kids on Wi-Fi here, and we got everything else going through internet here. So it could be a host of many things. I hope that it does eventually straighten out for everybody, because we don't want it to be annoying for anyone. So we're going to hope that after we shut off some things around here, that maybe it'll get a little better for you guys, which I don't see why it would cause a problem, because I'm hardwired. I'm not on Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
What? Okay. So I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that the show goes smoothly from this side.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I'm sure if it continues to drop, they'll let us know in the chat room. But guys, from what I can see from this side, it seems to be going well. Spreaker looks good. Skype looks good. So we're going to roll with it, and hopefully it'll get better. So guys, do me a favor, if you're in the chat room, keep us posted. Let us know how it's doing, if you will, please. We would appreciate it. Now, our topic for this week is facing your biggest fears after faith. I wrote down one of the questions is, when you lost your faith, did it remove whatever that biggest fear was for you? So
that's a good one.
Yeah, so we're going to dig into that topic, facing your biggest fears after faith, because this is what we're dealing with now, is the hope after faith. And also, this is the first installment of Stump the Preacher.
Oh, God. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm just going to go ahead and make excuses in advance and say I'm very calorie deficient today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I just blow it, if it just totally sucks, I just want it said an hour in advance that, low blood sugar.
Low blood sugar. There you go.
Yep, low blood sugar.
That sounds good to me. So, well, we're going to have our first installment of Stump the Preacher. I have everything numbered, written down. All the audio has been pulled. And I have numbers in a hat and my fancy Georgia Bulldog hat over there. And I'm going to have Ashley pull a number when it's time for us to do Stump the Preacher. So hopefully you guys will trust me that Ashley is pulling one, and I'll have her tell me the number on the piece of paper, and we will play that numbered file for Stump the Preacher.
Wow. How did we get into this? How did this happen?
And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we have some doozies.
Oh, no. Really?
Oh, yes.
Why did I ever, I don't even have a pen with me on this desk. No, I do. I got one in my pocket. Okay. God, dang it. Freaking.
There were 2 things in this that I actually had to look up.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it'll be interesting. And if it's something that you don't know what it is, it's probably something that I've had to look up. And if that is a number that's drawn, I'll at least explain to you what it is.
Okay.
Unless you don't want me to do that, it'll make it even more funner if you get it way off topic. And
it'll probably make it more funner if it's way off topic, but we'll see. We'll see. I want to hear it just to make sure I'm not creating a soundbite that will go viral and make me look like I am. the biggest numbskull on radio. So
Whatever. Everybody comes here for Jerry. I'm
please.
in. All right. So getting on to this week's topic, facing your biggest fear after faith. Now, you went into the book Hope After Faith, and you found a portion of the book that has to deal with, I think, public speaking.
Yeah, and so,
or if not, correct me. I could be wrong.
No.
Okay.
You're right. It's what led us to the idea of this week's topic. And instead of just reading that little portion over again, I think one thing that might be fun is for me to just kind of tell it from a slightly different perspective. But if you're in the book, then what you're going to remember, or maybe be able to go back and reference, is that towards the end of the camp meeting in Pontotoc, and if that sounds familiar, it's because when we did the episode on pastors, prophets, and pimps, I read from a portion of the book where Brother Richie had given me a $100 bill, and then just a little while later during a church service got up and said that the Lord had told him that people in the audience had $100 bills and that they were to give it in the offering. So this is the same event. This is the same camp meeting and the same people involved. And at the end of the camp meeting, they gave all the young preachers, all the young ministers, the wannabe preachers, who oftentimes are stuck being the youth ministers for little bitty churches because there's no other position for them. It is definitely not what they want to be, but it's, good practice sometimes. They gave all of us an opportunity to get up one after the other, and what is sometimes referred to as testify, some denominations, some parts of religion refer to it as sermonettes. There's a lot of different ways, but it's just short message.
Testimony.
A testimony.
Yeah.
But it's understood that unlike grandma giving a testimony out in the congregation, where she's praising the Lord for, whatever,
right.
Lisa didn't die on Days of Our Lives or something.
I got my greenbacks. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's understood that this form of testimony is just going to be a chance for the young minister to show his wares.
There you go.
Basically, it's a demo.
Gotcha.
It's a live demo. And so everybody knows it and everybody hits it. And I was so egotistical. I look back on it now and I can see that I was so I was so self-assured. I'm not going to say self-confident because that's kind of something different. But I was so sure of being called and being called to a special calling that I felt like I did not have to follow normal protocol.
Right.
So when every other young minister got up and thanked this one and thanked that one and slowly worked their way up into something, I had already determined that I was going to hit it really hard and really fast and really powerful, really not knowing what I was going to say. But as everyone who knows me knows that that's not a problem. And so I just got up and I belted at this thing. And what was fortunate for me was that I was able very quickly, very early on, to overcome what on some list is the second greatest fear in people's lives, which is public speaking. I was able to overcome that fear.
And that's a big fear for a lot of people.
It's huge.
Oh, yeah.
It is huge. Now, I feel like I kind of got there. I feel like I cheated a little bit on getting there because I was terrified of anything public and standing in front of a crowd for any reason up until I felt called to preach and actually delivered my first message that I talk about in the book as well and had a form of success with that. Up until then, I was the kid sitting in the classroom that if we were each reading a chapter out loud, not only, and obviously I couldn't read very well, so that played a huge part in the fear, but I was the kid that was numbering those paragraphs and counting I mean, it's 5 more people till you get to me. How many paragraphs?
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll be reading this one.
I'll be reading the short one.
Yeah, and I would be practicing it.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
I would say, okay, this is going to fall out to be mine, and I would practice it and sweat over it and feel a huge amount of relief, like somebody who, hasn't gone to the restroom in 6 months, and suddenly they realize, oh, I do get to go. If there was no words in it that I wasn't able to pronounce, I was thrilled. And so I was terrified. I was terrified of the public. So I kind of cheated in a way that I really felt like I was called to do that, and did it so forcefully and so intensely and so wholeheartedly the first few times that it kind of got me past that rather quickly. Basically, I was able to overcome it because I was nuts. That's kind of the bottom line.
Right.
There was a part of me that was off kilter, that was not reasonable, that was not, not functioning properly.
I think all of us has a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure. So, so reading that part, looking for what we would talk about this week, I couldn't help but think about, at the times that I later on did feel nervous or did feel like I lacked confidence or was not prepared, felt like I was not prepared, I did have prayer as a tool to try to make myself feel better about what was going to happen.
Right.
And so what do you do? How do you deal with the things that you're afraid of after faith and you no longer have what we thought were tools?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was kind of the same kid you were. I would count the paragraphs and count the people, to make sure that I was hoping and praying that I had the smallest paragraph.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I was not the guy that liked to get up in front of the school and give a book report, or talk about an assignment or something like that. Now, it's funny because that somehow changed as I got older. And I think being in the military changed a lot of that. Because being in the military and being in the medical field, because of the rank I had to give classes. I had to teach people how to do CPR, first aid, and all that, which required me to stand in front of a group of soldiers and teach them how to do things.
Right.
So I think kind of being forced to do it as part of my job in the military, that kind of got that fear out of me. But now there's one fear that I've always had that I still haven't gotten over. And I even tried to get rid of it in the military, and that is I am scared to death of heights. I'm the guy that'll stand on a curb and get lightheaded.
Right.
I do not like heights at all. Now, this is someone that repelled out of helicopters in the military. Air assault, all of that. Scared to death of heights. But that was my way of trying to get over that fear. And trust me, every time I rappelled from 90 or however many feet to 500 feet, scared to death.
So let's back up and let's do a couple of things, because I'm sure the listeners are like me. They're interested in a couple of points that you've brought out. One would be, do you remember your level of anxiety when you gave the first class, say the first CPR class or whatever the first time was that you had to teach the other soldiers? Do you remember being nervous about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The sweaty palms, the elevated heart rate, the sweaty brow, the beads of sweat that show up on your forehead, when you're nervous.
Right.
Your voice being shaky, right? Mm-hmm. You're trying your best to cover it, but still your voice is really shaky because the inside of you is shaking like crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I can clearly remember that feeling, standing up there the first time I had to give a class. So
let's do this like a comic book strip or a comic strip, comic book panels. If the first panel is you at your first class being terrified, and
right.
You hit all of the wonderful symptoms that I've lived with all my life, and I guess everybody has, over something: sweaty palms, sweaty brow, racing heartbeat, lightheadedness, all those things, all the wonderful effects of adrenaline. If that was the first frame, the first panel in the strip, The last panel being where you taught a class and you were completely comfortable. I mean, that happened, right?
Oh, sure.
It was over. Okay, you was 100% comfortable.
Oh yeah, in front of any audience, yeah.
In front of any audience.
Yeah.
And so didn't matter what size, didn't matter who it was.
No, now I can tell you the thing that I noticed was when it's a smaller crowd, I do tend to get a little bit more nervous. And I think the reason for that is because it's more personal. You know, when you're standing in front of 6 people or when you're standing in front of 6,000.
Right.
Right? Because if you're standing in front of a large group, 2, 3, 500 people, 1,000 people, it's not quite as personal as if you're standing in front of 6.
Right.
So for me, the larger the crowd, the easier it was for me to stand up there and talk.
And when you think about that, now granted, the larger, they're asking you the question of what division you were in, Bobby C.
Oh, as for my air assault, I guess that they're asking?
Yes, sir.
101st Screaming Eagles.
101st. Excellent. So theoretically, 1,000 people, there could be one, there could be 6. We're comparing the group of 6 people to the group of 1,000 people. There could be 6 people in that group of 1,000 that are, a-holes and could still cause you problems.
Right.
Could still call you out, could still criticize, could still do whatever. But you're right, we don't think about it that way, and we actually we're probably also feeling a sense of security with that 1,000 because it's like the bigger the crowd, the more social civility sets over it.
Sure.
It's like the rules get stiffer.
Yeah.
The bigger the crowd, the harder the rules are, and so you do feel safer. Yeah, you definitely do. But in reality, that's just perception. That's just how you see it.
Yeah,
right?
Which will change how it affects your fear level.
How it affects your fear level, right? So let's keep it with going from frame 1. If you don't mind me interviewing you for a minute, is that all right?
That's cool.
Okay. If you go from frame 1 or panel 1 to where you're nervous and about to faint to the last panel and you're completely comfortable, if you had to fill in, say, 3 major panels between there that showed how you got from one to the other, what would you, just off the top of your head, what would you fill in with those panels?
I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question.
So, all right. So let me throw out some guesses for you. Could it be that would one panel show you studying and being
prepared,
even more prepared?
Yeah.
Would preparation be part of it?
Yeah. But I think I was studying to be prepared for my first one.
For the first one, but you hadn't been tried yet, though, right? I mean, you hadn't. It's one thing to be prepared and not be put to the test, but then once you're put to the test and you see that the preparation actually worked, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does. Because the one thing that I was always told is the more prepared you are, the more comfortable you'll be talking about a particular subject.
Right.
And being a medic and all that, of course, I was comfortable with CPR and first aid because that was part of what I did.
Right.
So I was very comfortable talking about those things. But still, I had that damn nervousness that first time. Now,
sure.
Each class that I gave, it got less and less and less. My being prepared didn't change because I'm still giving the same information out there. Matter of fact, it comes repetitive after a while. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's what changed it was, here we go again.
Right. See, and I'm being a little probably unfair in what I'm asking and how I'm asking it, but I'm actually building up to what I think is a great answer. One of probably many answers for how you deal with fear after faith. And you're really, really starting to nail it down really, really good. I'm not going to spoil it too much because I want it to kind of percolate into everyone's consciousness the best that it can. But,
cool, man. We can keep going.
So if we could do a montage, inside of a panel, then one panel would definitely be repeating it, going through that process over and over and over again. Now, did you increase in rank or any other kind of status
Well,
as time went by?
Sure, throughout the years I did.
Right.
Sure.
Right. But you got comfortable before you changed rank.
Yeah, I got comfortable long before I changed rank.
Right. Long before you got into
Yeah, so I don't know if me increasing in rank helped at all.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or if it was just something that I do so much that now it's like, you know, it just rolls off the tongue. Now, the thing that I did notice was the more I did it, the more fun I could have with it. You know, because I got more comfortable. You know, the first right. So the more comfortable I got, the more I was able to crack jokes, and you kind of let my hair down had I had some. You know,
if I'd known you then, I would have shared some with you, Bob.
Right, and trust me, I appreciate it. But my head looked like then like it does now. But you know, the more comfortable I got, the more fun I had with it.
Right. So, could the second panel be illustrating you playing with it?
Sure.
Maybe those first couple of times that you played with it. Now you're so comfortable. Now you're getting more and more comfortable with it. So now you're kind of making it your own, playing with it a little bit of self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. And so, so you're repeating the process. You're making it your own and playing with it. I wonder if there's anything else that creates a comfortable public speaker,
other than being prepared and knowing what you're going to talk about. Being
other than that, but that may actually be part. That may be a very important part.
I don't know if it's see. For me, I kind of had a captive audience. You know, they had to be there. They didn't have a choice. You had to get your certification. You got it through me.
Right.
So it wasn't something that they had the option to opt out on.
Right.
But
so there is a little bit of a status issue there.
Sure.
In an indirect way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the boss, regardless of the rank in the room, regardless of experience or years or personality. They really do have to listen to you and ultimately make you happy because you're passing them. Right?
Yeah. I pretty much give them a pass or fail.
So there's a certain amount of control there then.
Control or a very small amount of power, if you want to use power.
Right.
You know, a way of kind of having the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and E4 or E5 having E6s and E7s in there that are higher ranked than they are, but still you are able to, you know, kind of flex your muscles a little bit.
Right.
So
to cut to the chase a little bit, and then we can turn around and we can dig into the fear of heights, if you want.
Sure.
What we see already as a pattern that reason can help us walk our way through is almost regardless of what the fear is. If the fearful situation is something repeatable, which obviously death isn't. And so, you know, we can get to that in just a little bit. That changes the ball game drastically. But when we're talking about major fears, like, for instance, the fear of flying, public speaking, fear of heights, fear of the dark, fear of intimacy, then, of course, fear of death, which is totally different, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and believe it or not, in a list of top 10, fear of spiders.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, fear of commitment. Some of these things are things that are not repeatable in the same way as public speaking or flying or even heights or something like that. Mm-hmm. We can see a pattern here, at least the pattern that you used, which was obviously you were prepared. Mm-hmm. That's the foundation. But then you repeated the process enough times that it told your nervous system that this really wasn't what it was originally imagined to be.
Right.
You know, because when you think about it, when you break it down, you're going to quickly tell this is my favorite subject of all time because of anxiety and panic attack disorder.
Right.
You know, the only way that your adrenal glands are being activated when you're standing there in front of that crowd is that your imagination is picturing something unpleasant, so clearly that your nervous system cannot tell the difference between the imagination and the reality.
And the real, right.
And it kicks in the adrenal glands, the fight or flight process.
Exactly.
And so over time, though, when you re-experience this and nothing bad happens, then your nervous system
calms down.
Hopefully, has to accept that, okay, this isn't going to kill me. That thing that I imagined. And what's so fascinating to me about the mind is you may not even be completely conscious that you're imagining some fearful outcome. It's just kind of running in the background, but it's clear enough that your nervous system is responding to it, even if your conscious mind isn't, able to quote out loud what you're, or dictate out loud what you're being afraid of at that moment. But over time, you repeat it and you realize that it's not the thing that you thought it was. And so that helps. But then the next step of that was you got just comfortable enough that you begin to take ownership.
Right.
You begin to play with it.
There you go. Yeah. Which was what I started to do once I got more comfortable.
Exactly. And now what you're doing is you're taking control over your state. You are literally choosing what state you're going to be in. You're choosing whether or not you're going to be in a bored, monotone, lecturing state. You're choosing whether or not, particular to this case, whether or not you're going to be in a fearful, intimidated, adrenaline rushed state, or whether or not you're going to be in a playful, relaxed, self-expressing state.
Mm-hmm.
And so that ability to self-express allows the monkey mind to kind of run its course a little bit.
Right.
We stay so much more afraid when we keep it trapped within our head, and it kind of bounces around inside of our skull trying to find a way out, and all it does is intensify to where when we're able, I'm telling you, I've done this so many times it's ridiculous, that when I would get up to speak, if for some reason, say it's a different type of audience or some very, very important presentation, whatever it is, and I'm feeling more nervous than what I normally do, and I feel like it's going to affect my presentation, whether it's going to affect how I sound because my vocal cords are tight or my mouth is dry or whatever, I will get up and I will say, I ain't never been this nervous at a presentation before.
Right.
Regardless if I've done 1,000 presentations, and it's like by opening my mouth, I've opened my mind, and I can allow that anxiety a place to go.
Exactly.
And now I'm taking control over it. Does that make a little bit of sense?
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So I think in your playing, you kind of do that a little bit.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think you do that.
And guys, listen, you're going to hear some background noise. Ashley is back there making lasagna. So,
God, I'm starving.
Please excuse the background noise. I can't keep muting my mic every single time.
Don't worry about it, brother. We're just here to be raw and naked.
So you're going to hear some background noise. Hopefully she won't now make more. But if you should hear it, just know that that's Miss Ashley back there. She's making her awesome lasagna.
Should I wait to put the aluminum foil on?
No, go ahead and get it done so that we can go ahead. Thank you.
No Religion Required says they just got called out.
Yeah, she did, because guys, look, I've been muting myself on this side because of the amount of noise she's been making, and because she's been making a lot of noise. So finally, I said, I just can't keep doing this. So I'm just gonna tell you guys, listen, she's making some of her awesome lasagna, and you'll have to get over the background noise.
Well,
see, there she goes with the aluminum foil. See, it
doesn't bother me. And I don't think it'll bother any of our family. I think they're going to be fine. We all good. So then lastly, and then I'll let you go for a little while. The third thing then was having a little bit of control, a little bit of power, a little bit of say-so over the situation. There's something about that status. When I And once again, this is perception. When I make a business call and I don't know, man, I could speak in tongues. This is so good, Bobby.
Look, I know exactly what you're going to say because I hated cold calls. So I'm with you.
when I don't know who's on the other end, without even realizing it, I naturally assume the worst.
Sure.
And to me, everybody I'm calling is freaking Richard Dawkins or somebody.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it may be a firm of how we cheat them and how or whatever. You know, do we cheat them and how or whatever?
Do we cheat
It
'em and
may
how?
only be two people. You know, and there may be a part of me that consciously knows that, but subconsciously, if I don't know this person, when I pick up the phone, I immediately think that I'm about to be critiqued for every other syllable that comes out of my mouth.
Right.
And I feel that tension, and I lose some of my control, my ability to affect and maintain my own state. Versus if I know the person on the other end, and they're just a country bumpkin like me, and I know that they're not going to judge me or even, and I'm just going to, I mean, we've promised our family, our listening family, that we're going to be open and honest.
Right.
You know, if I feel superior to that person in some way, and I know humanists aren't supposed to feel superior to other humans, I'm just being honest. But if I feel like maybe I'm smarter, or maybe I'm more clever, or even if I feel like I'm just more informed on the subject that I'm about to talk about with them, whatever the case may be, I flow better. I feel a sense of power.
Sure.
And I flow better, and my state changes, and I'm more comfortable, and I think, to be honest with you, I'm more effective then.
Sure. I can agree with that.
Yeah. And so I feel like we just laid out these three things that I think most people can do in a lot of different fear situations. And they can apply that with reason and work their way through, or at least minimize the effect that fear would have on that. So now what I'm interested in, and I want to hear you talk about it for a little while, is this fear of heights and how even jumping out of planes didn't make it better.
help. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You know, that's the reason I went through all that I did for the military, you know, all the height stuff, because I knew, you know, just from giving classes and things like that, the more I do it, the more comfortable I get, and I won't be fearful anymore. And I don't know what it is about heights, but that fear never went away. For instance, say while we were in Louisiana, you were re-shingling your house, right? And you asked me to come up there and help you do shingles on your house. You would have to do all the edges.
Sure.
Because I could not get close to the edge, because I can see, you know, how high I am off the ground. And I get lightheaded, and the things start to spin, and I'm so afraid that I'm going to fall.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
If I can stay away from the edge, I'm okay. It's being able to look down and see how far up I am that creates the problem.
So let me ask you this. What is the first time that you remember being afraid of heights?
Now, I can't now, let's see, because I was okay as a kid because I would climb trees and all of that.
And you don't remember a single time as a child that you were afraid of heights?
Not as a child, you know, because I would climb to the top of trees. Mm-hmm. You know, to the highest I could get in a tree was the better.
Would you climb to the top of a pine tree and swing until you could try to bend it over,
had a good
make
time.
it touch the ground? Yeah, absolutely.
Had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Here, write it down instead of trying to mouth words to me, please. I'm sorry, guys. I got Ashley across from me that is distracting the hell out of me. You know, I don't do this on your show. Distract you? Yes.
That's
But
funny.
I am on your show.
I think everybody enjoys being in the living room with you.
And I so need a drinking problem.
James says, what if the wind catches Jerry's hair and blows him away?
Then I'm going to be stuck up there because I'm going to need him to help me down.
To help you down, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But I can't seem to pinpoint the exact moment that I became afraid of heights.
But now, okay, you went into the military at what age?
I went to the military at 20.
At 20. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the military, you chose a career path, or you chose activities that would put you rappelling or jumping out of a helicopter or whatever, right? Almost immediately?
No, not almost. No. Not almost immediately. I was in for several years.
Oh, okay. All right.
Before I made that decision. And I think mostly the reason I did it was, first of all, to get over my fear, but also I needed promotion points. You know, I wanted to move up in rank. And the more schools I went to and the more I did, the more it would help me, you know, acquire a higher rank, more pay, and all that.
So you remember consciously thinking, this is not only good for my career, but it will also help me overcome my
Right.
fear of heights. That was part
Yes.
of the decision process.
Right. Now, Ashley wrote down when we went to the lighthouse in Florida. Oh, yeah. No. Bobby did not go to the railing. No, he did not. But I was already afraid of heights before that. But I
Right.
can't pinpoint when. I can't think of anything that happened. I don't remember falling from any height. You know, I don't remember anything happening that would change me being a young boy climbing to the top of a tree to being 20, 21 to 25 years old and afraid to stand on a curb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know what happened between those years to bring that fear, because it's not one I had as a child.
Right. So it
I don't know.
slipped up on you somewhere. And
I can't put my hand on, I would say finger, but you know, with what I'm going through, that's just
no
too
reason
good
to
of a
get
pun.
that started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just can't put my hands on the moment.
Right.
All I know is sometime throughout those years that changed.
So real quick, if you don't mind this, because I love this subject, and it seems like the listeners are enjoying it as well. Let's just go through a scenario, much like we did with the first scenario, and we'll just make up some arbitrary first experience where you are. Just give me an idea, just general thoughts on something prior to going in the military, because you were already afraid of heights before you went into the military, right?
I think so.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing really big happened as a teenager or in your, 18, 19.
No.
You don't remember having a case
No.
of it. Okay.
No.
All right. So now you're in the military, and maybe you do or you do not have it. Do you remember? You don't remember what was the first time that you was afraid of it, but
Well,
what would be something that you would have done?
Now that I think about it, and I'm thinking about the military aspect of it,
Right.
I think the first time that I was ever really afraid that I was high up off the ground was going through basic training and going through an obstacle course. If anyone is listening and you've gone through Army basic training, there's an obstacle course, then there's a ladder, if you say, a tower. It's kind of like a ladder where you climb up this ladder obstacle, and the higher you go, the further away the rungs of the ladder get, to where you're literally on tippy toes, hanging by fingertips, and you're 60, 70 feet off the ground, or it feels like you are, when in actuality you're probably about 30 feet off the ground.
Right, but still far enough to kill you if you fell backwards off
far
of
enough
it.
that if you slipped and fell, there's no safety net.
Right.
And if I have to, I think that might have been the first time I actually felt fear of being off the ground.
And this was in training.
This was
basic training.
This was basic training, and I think what caused the fear was not having that stable footing, not having my hands fully on this rung that I know if my feet slipped, I'm safe.
Right.
Right? Because it was one of those things where if you slipped, that was it.
Right.
You know, you fell, and hopefully you made it. If not, your family got your life insurance money early.
Yes, exactly. So, some important things right there. One is, and it's been brought out in the chat room. You're doing this at 20.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time, the other young men in basic training with you, wouldn't they have been a little closer to 18, or would they have all been in their 20s?
I think most of the people that were in my platoon was pretty close to my age. I mean, they all had to be 18 or older. So, I mean, we were all within a year or two of each other. And I think we had a couple guys that were in the middle to probably late 20s.
Right.
So we had it pretty good.
So, I'm definitely not a neurologist by any stretch of the imagination. I barely own my own brain. But I think we would all agree that we've learned that that's a key time in mental development, neurological development. There is some self-awareness, particularly as has been brought out in the chat room by a couple of different people, your own mortality. That part of your brain that becomes more keenly aware, seemingly the older you get, that you are not indestructible and that you can die, is really beginning to develop and kick in, at least somewhere around in those years. Mm-hmm. So, if you went a good space, if you were a cool teenager that didn't want to look silly, and you could have had a gap between being the young kid who was climbing trees, there could have been a height exploration gap between when you were young and climbing trees to when you were now climbing this ladder on this, as James called it, confidence course.
Right.
Right?
That may be what they call it now, yeah.
Yeah, and so, there was no challenge. There may have not been a height challenge, elevation challenge during those years, and suddenly now here you are. You add to that you're in basic training. I've never been there, but you tell me if I'm wrong. You may be getting all the calories you'd ever want as a human being, but you're probably burning every one of them that you get, right? Oh, yeah. And you're not getting a lot of sleep. What sleep you are getting is probably disturbed for just the fact of being there. You're being yelled at, you're being screamed at, you're being tested in every way. And by you, I mean your nervous system is being tested in every way, right? Because you are your nervous system.
Absolutely.
So you wrap all that up, and suddenly having that feeling of vulnerability, in one instant, your body, your nervous system says, this is the most dangerous thing in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Heights, heights are not my friend.
Oh, no, and trust me, they wasn't.
Right. And so there you are. You're on the ladder, and you have that feeling. What happens next?
You almost freeze. Luckily, there was someone who had just gone over the top that stopped and kind of, encouraged me, come on, man, you can do it, and reached down and said, come on, grab my hand, and they helped me over the top.
Right.
But the first thing that entered my mind was freeze, stop what you're doing. Whenever I realized that I could barely hold on with just my fingertips.
And now that this memory is back, do you remember getting vertigo on that, during that experience? Do you remember sensing vertigo?
Oh, please.
Totally. Yeah. Your whole world spun.
Everything started spinning. Yes, everything. And the fear overtook me. I mean, just absolutely overtook me. I mean, I could barely move.
So you get over this, not over the condition, but you get over
the obstacle.
This ladder, over this obstacle. And so the next time that you have to face this is when? Do you have to face this obstacle again?
Oh, yeah. Multiple times during basic training.
And so what's it like every time that you're climbing up this thing?
I think it was, believe it or not, and I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all, but to me, the second time was a hell of a lot more scarier.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I already knew that at the top, I could barely hang on. I already knew when I started up this daggum obstacle that I'd be hanging on by my tippy toes and by my fingertips.
You're how tall?
I'm 6 foot.
How the hell do they expect me to get over it?
I don't know, because there was a guy who was much shorter than me that would jump up and would grab a hold of the top beam. and,
Wow.
and would pull himself over. To me, he was the baddest little joker I ever seen. Because that boy had no fear, you know.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, if you were much shorter than what I was, I mean, you had to suck it up.
Yeah, you were going to really struggle to
Yeah,
get that done.
you were going to struggle.
And so it just got worse.
It got worse. It got worse because I knew what I was facing.
Right. So in reality, the first process we laid out of preparation, then repetition, and then playfulness or self-expression, and then dominance. In reality, on this situation, you've done it just the opposite way, because the repetition actually made it worse instead of better.
Right.
And in lieu of preparation, where you studied and you knew the CPR and you were able to teach it, that was your foundation that you then took off on. Here, your foundation is already out from under you.
Right.
You know right off the bat that, or at least you perceive it as being that this is near impossible, very difficult, very dangerous, and now you're just repeating something that's uncomfortable over and over again, but unfortunately in a way that continues to make it uncomfortable and compound that. So in essence, you're really just writing that record. If you were making a record, you're really just writing that rut deeper and deeper each time. Where the first time you're actually changing the record. You're afraid of it, and the record runs one way and says, this, given the CPR class, is something to be afraid of. But then you rewrite that record every time that you do it better and more comfortable and better and more comfortable and better and more comfortable. You're rewriting it. This time, though, you're just making that fearful groove deeper. All right. So you obviously passed. You made it through basic training.
I did.
And you didn't fail the confidence course.
No.
Okay, and so are you then kind of free from having to do heights until you choose these extra activities for your career and to overcome your fear of heights?
Yes, because I never had to. Once you get through basic training, you start your normal job training, and you don't have to go through that anymore.
Right.
So it was probably 4 years, if not more, before I decided I think I want to go to air assault school.
Gotcha. And so now this has been laying dormant this entire time. You've got that record, but it's been stuck up on the shelf of your mind, but it's visible enough that when you're making career choices, you're able to, okay, well, I want to play that record a different way in the future, so I'm going to do something that's going to rewrite that record. And so you join flight school, and what's the first time that you have to encounter this, you have to encounter this fear of heights? Almost
instantly.
Right.
Because you go to air assault school and you have to go through what they now call a confidence course. And you have to pass this course before they'll ever let you into the actual school.
Right.
So the first thing that I looked at was a 50-foot rope that I had to climb.
Jesus.
Right. So that's the very first thing I saw when I got off the bus and put my stuff in the barracks and, reported to the line. The first thing you see is a 45 to 50-foot rope that you have to climb and ring the bell at the top.
Good grief.
Right. Now, this is a rope that has no knots in it. There's nothing to hold on to. It's just a bare rope.
Right.
So.
Now, is this designed to test your strength, or is this designed to test your fear of heights?
No, this is strength.
Just all strength.
Yeah,
can you pull yourself up that far? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hold your body weight?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you see that, and obviously you're strong enough, healthy enough, good enough shape to do it. But you just don't want to be 50 foot off the ground.
I just don't want to be 50 foot off the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's really changed, because last time it was partially footing and partially I can't get a hold of this well enough. It was that I'm stretching and trying to touch this upper rung and I can barely get it, So it had to do with being able to grip and get a hold of
Right.
something. Now you can grip it. You could probably at that time hang there for half an hour if you had to.
Sure.
So it's not about strength and grip. Now it's literally purely all just about the height,
Now it's all about the height.
which shows that neurologically your nervous system said, what's making me so fearful? What's freaking me out? It's the height. Let's make a general assumption here and say it's all about the height so that we can protect ourselves going into the future. Because this is all that's going on. This is all the phobia and fear is about, it's your nervous system doing its job too well, trying to protect you in the future. So that when you see something that it even finds to be remotely similar, it goes, nope, 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 nope. Remember? That ain't cool. That ain't a good place.
Yeah.
And that's how you end up with all kind of weird phobias, depending on how the nervous system reacts to your environment. But apparently you did it, right? You climbed it and you did it?
Oh, yeah.
And so how did you manage to do that?
I just did it. It was one of the things that I had to do.
Yeah.
If I wanted to continue in this course, I had to climb this daggum rope.
So
everything was high. Everything with air salt was high. Everything was.
Imagine that.
The wall that we had to rappel down was 90 feet off the ground. Everything was high. Everything had to do with heights. So,
Did you tell anybody that this was bothering you?
No.
Not a person.
No, hell no. Yeah. Because if you express that, that's a weakness. And the last thing I wanted to do was give them automatically something against me.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
no,
there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, no, Nope. You just keep that to yourself. You suck it up and you hold your breath and you just pray that you don't fall.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do the wall, you climb it, climb the rope, and you even rappel out of helicopters or skydive or what?
No, you rappel out of helicopters.
Rappel out of helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what's the highest that you rappelled out of?
300, 350 feet.
Jesus.
Up to...
I didn't even know they made ropes that long.
Sure.
Wow. Probably a lot of rope on the ground, too.
Yeah, there is.
From James.
Well, there is rope on the ground, but what a lot of people don't know is when you're going through that, there's something called rotor wash, right? And that's the wind coming off the bottom of those rotors at the top of that helicopter. Mm-hmm. And it adds weight to the rope.
Mm.
Right? So the rope's heavier than it is if you're standing on the ground.
Gotcha.
So you have a heavier rope to hang on to. You got the rotor wash blowing down, right? And then the rope most ropes, when you will, what's what I'm looking for? They will expand,
mm-hmm.
So
right.
There's little small dynamics.
There's a lot of things going on that doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, but there's also a lot going on in your mind that you have to keep going through in your mind that you really don't have time to get scared.
Right. Did it bother you flying? I mean, did it bother you to go up in the helicopter 300 feet?
No, because I'm seated.
Because you're not going to fall out.
I'm seated, I'm buckled in, and I'm attached to something.
Right. No, that all makes sense. I mean, I think your fear and your concern is, I think it all is congruent. I think every piece of it fits together and makes perfect sense. And it sounds like because I'm just going to be honest with you. Here's what I'm going to throw out. You ready?
Sure.
I think because you had to go through that by yourself, you played the same record over and over so many times that you just served to make the groove in the record deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Where had you been doing those exact same exercises in a class focused on cognitive behavioral therapy, then your state would have been forced to be changed into something else. No matter how fearful you were when you were rappelling down that wall, when you got to the bottom of the wall, there would have been a team of people there, or at least a very good therapist that would have celebrated with you and instantly changed your state, and thus begin to ease your nervous system into a different pattern of saying, oh, okay, it really is cool. But instead you get to the bottom of the rope and you're like, I'm damn lucky not to be dead. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have someone that's on belay. And what I mean by that, your belay man is the man that's at the bottom of the rope. He's holding on to the rope. Right. And he's the guy that is able to break you. And I don't mean in half. I mean like the brakes on a car. B-R-A-K-E.
Keep you from
break.
just slapping against the ground.
Right. So if you get turned upside down or you're coming down too fast, he's the guy that can lay back on the rope and make you come to a stop. Right. He's your safety guy. You yell, he yells on belay to let you know he's there.
Right.
So he's kind of your safety guy. Your life is kind of in his hands. So you have to put some trust in him.
Right.
But even knowing that he was there, knowing that he wouldn't let me fall, knowing that he wouldn't do, anything to hurt me, I still had that underlying fear.
Sure.
Even knowing that.
Absolutely. No, your nervous system had no reason to believe that everything was going to be awesome. Matter of fact, it wouldn't have been doing its job if it would have blown it off and said, oh, okay, on delay's there, so we're good to go.
Right.
I mean, it just on delay. I'm now mixing
on delay
languages.
On belay.
Yeah, on belay. And so, no, I mean, your nervous system was doing exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And what's unfortunate is, I mean, if you would have had a therapist or a coach or something down at the bottom that would have immediately grabbed you up, patted you on the back, yelled at you, fantastic job. See, there wasn't nothing to that, did something to change your state instead of the only thing that you feel is a sense of relief that you didn't die,
mm-hmm.
Then it might have not, it maybe the groove wouldn't have got so deep that standing on a curb, you get vertigo.
I don't like that feeling. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because that's very real. I mean, because for maybe 3 months, I hid my anxiety and panic attack disorder to some degree. I mean, I would literally get in the car and drive about 5 miles up the road, pull on a logging trail, and sit there for 8 hours, and then drive home to pretend that I had gone out, on sales calls, because I was struggling to even figure out what the heck was going on with me, much less finding the humility to tell somebody.
Right.
And keeping it to myself and repeating that pattern only served to make it worse.
Right. Yeah.
Because instead what I'm doing is there is repetition, but it's the bad kind of repetition. And the preparation isn't getting any better.
Right.
And instead of self-expression, I'm in self-denial. I'm becoming more and more inward. Instead of telling people how I'm feeling and what's going on, instead it's sinking me deeper and deeper in myself. And instead of finding dominance over the situation is just every day becoming more and more domineering and dominating me more and more. And
right.
so I see where you're at completely.
Well, what do you think it was that made you afraid to let people know about your anxiety?
Well, for me,
why were you afraid?
Yeah, I can tell you first and foremost, and thank you for kind of bringing us back onto, our show. But for me, it was that I was the man of God. I mean, I was the preacher. I was the wannabe preacher, depending on where I was at that stage of my career. Judgment. There you go. It just came out in the chat room. I was horrified at expressing that fear and getting rejection, getting judgment, it lessening the likelihood that anyone would listen to me and hear anything that I had to say. There was a lot of social reasons. And on top of that, I was in a little bit of denial because in the very beginning, I didn't know if I wasn't devil possessed. because my fears were so intense and my panic attacks were so intense and often that it got to the place my nervous system became completely wore out, that I consciously could not tell if I was awake or asleep, if I was truly conscious or was dreaming. I lived in this hazy, fuzzy, surreal sense that went on for a hellish amount of time. But it was because my nervous system was that tired, was that wore down.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't admit it. Once I finally made that.
Oh, I think we lost Jerry. All right. Well, apparently we've lost Jerry. Let me see if I can get Jerry back. I don't know. Yep, we lost him. There was a internet problem. Sure, Miss Ashley, you can join.
I can play Jerry.
Okay. Well, put your headphones on, please.
Okay.
We're going to try to get Jerry back if we can. All right. Well, we're talking about fear, Miss Ashley.
Okay.
What is something that you fear that you deal with on a somewhat daily basis?
Disappointment. I feel like I'm going to be a disappointment, or I'm going to disappoint people.
Why do you think that you're afraid of that? Why do you fear disappointment?
Because I know I don't know everything, but sometimes I think, especially like at work, that people expect me to know everything. Mm-hmm. And when I don't have the answer, it really, really, affects me, because I'm like, I feel disappointed that I didn't have the answer. Or when I don't do something right, or disappointing my kids.
What happened?
I don't know, man. We completely lost you.
That is strange. That's the first time. What, episode 11? And it's the first time I fell completely off?
Yeah, and I'm thinking it might have been from my side, I think.
Oh, well.
Because we've been battling the internet for the last week.
Oh, no. Well, that's quite all right.
Ashley stepped in while we were working on getting you back.
It probably got 100 times more interesting.
Oh, my God. It's tough playing Jerry.
Well, all you got to do is get the hair right, and you'll be fine.
Well,
the hard part.
No, I start the story out with, "Would you like to go see all the 60,000 churches I used to preach at?"
Boy, I tell you, this is grown. It was like 300 the first time that I woke you up on the tour, and now it's all the way to 60,000.
Well, Ashley was talking about her fear, which was what?
Disappointment.
Sure.
The fear of disappointing, like her bosses.
Right.
I have an issue with saying no to people, because I feel like if I tell them no, now the lasagna's ready. I feel like if I tell somebody no, that I'm disappointing them.
And that is a really, really common fear on the list that I'm looking at. Fear of rejection, and I think that's kind of part of it. Maybe also a little bit of fear of failure is mixed up in all of that. That's 7 and 8 out of 10 on just the list that I pulled up. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's very legitimate. Once again, I think the answer to it is you have to experience it. I always think you have to go through it.
Right.
I'm a big believer in cognitive behavioral therapy. And all that means is you're consciously behaving and doing things that normally make you afraid, but you're doing it in a therapeutic session. You're doing it in a way that is controlled, that creates a preparation and foundation like we've talked about, but that it also has positive outcomes every time, so that you kind of rewrite the story in your brain as to what this means.
Right.
And you can spend your life. You can be like Bobby, jumping out of the helicopter. You can do it because you have to, and never have a positive experience from it, and it not make the fear go away. But if you do it in a way that you do have a positive experience at the end of it, then over time, forcing yourself to do it, I really think lessens the fear.
Yeah, and maybe my fear is more of, I'm scared to do something because I'm scared that I'm going to disappoint somebody. Does that make sense?
Sure. Absolutely. And so then the question would be, why are you so afraid of disappointing somebody? What does it mean to you if you disappoint someone? What does that mean?
I can tell you, it breaks my heart. it really gets me upset. I start like having a panic attack or anxiety attack or whatever it is that I have. And,
Right.
And I literally beat myself up over whatever I have done that might have disappointed somebody for days. I mean, I remember numerous times, Bobby picks on me because I won't tell my kid to know.
Right.
She won't, trust me.
And,
Yeah.
and
Well, I've been, I understand that.
And when I do tell them no, good example, would be like if they just want something simple and I tell them no, it's like I feel like I've disappointed them.
Well, of course you did. Because nobody wants to be told no, but you do as a parent have to use that 2-letter word, no. Sure, it's going to upset the child. Sure, your teenager's going to be pissed off because mom said no to whatever. But
Right.
they have to get over it. That's part of parenting.
I know.
So let me ask you this, Miss Ashley, and I'm not asking you this because I'm an expert in this field by any means, because Kelly was always the disciplinarian. But do you feel as if do you feel that by saying yes, do you feel that by giving, that is the only way that you can make yourself valuable
Yes.
to that person?
Yes.
Yeah. So you feel like if you're not giving them what they want all the time that they want, then you feel less valuable.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big part of that. I mean, that's why you then beat yourself up, and not beat them up because they didn't handle being told no, in a better way. You're beating yourself up because you feel like you failed at the one project, and that one project was putting value into their life so that they will then value you in return.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a legitimate fear, because what you're ultimately feeling, I think, I'm not meaning to put words in your mouth, but I know from my experience, what you're really fearing is loneliness, rejection, separation, those types of things, not getting the love that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Does that sound close?
No. That sounds really close.
Yeah. Because people like you and I, we feel like we have to buy the love that we get.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
And
Boy,
Did I hit it?
Oh,
Did I hit it on
you
the head?
hit, please.
yeah.
Yeah.
Big time, yes.
Yeah.
And it, and just like, in places at work, I can't exactly buy their love or their approval, but if I feel, if I do something wrong and I know that there was no possible way for me to do it right, and I did something wrong, somebody points out that I did something wrong, and I realize that, okay, I'd been doing it wrong the whole time. And even though I realize that I was never told the correct way, I still feel like I have disappointed somebody, because I feel like I should have gone and found, that there was a correct way, even though I didn't know that there was a correct way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In your eyes, the only you that anyone can love is a perfect you.
Yes.
And so the fear then, what literally triggers, so let's walk our way through that. If you're sensing that you're disappointing someone, and the sense of that literally makes you feel panicky, literally creates the fight or flight, mechanism, activates it in your system. What do you think you're imagining is going to happen, or can happen, or is happening? Because obviously, normally when we think of fight or flight, we're thinking somebody shoots a gun in the air and it's instinctive for you to try to run, and save yourself,
Right.
And that makes sense, that your adrenal system gets kicked off and now you're trying to save yourself. If you're able to feel those same types of emotions just from the knowledge, or the supposed knowledge, that you're disappointing someone, what do you think you're imagining is going to be the outcome that you need to run away from or be anxious over? What's the ultimate outcome? Do you think they're going to leave you? abandon you, fire you,
Fire
no
me.
longer love you?
Fire me. I'm not worried about an abandonment. I'm not worried about, because regardless if I get fired, I still have a whole community to wrap their arms around me. But I'm still feared that I'm going to get fired. And I don't like walking around always fearing my job when I know that I have no reason to fear my job.
Right. So even more importantly, because I can probably relate to it even better, with the kids, of saying no to the kids, if you say no and it disappoints them, and I know all these answers for myself, but I don't know what they might be for you, what would create anxiety? What would you fear would be the outcome of telling them no and disappointing them?
That they run back to their daddy and their daddy gets put on the pedestal again.
There you go.
And mom gets, mom's the horrible one.
There you go. I don't know how that could, that seems, I'm sure, a good psychologist could probably, dig 13 layers, deeper, but that seems pretty straightforward to me. Mm-hmm. That there's a competition that's going on. And the competition, oddly enough, isn't just between you and, their dad or whoever. The competition is between you and the perfect you.
Right. And I agree with that. And the thing that, upsets me the most is that her children know this and they use that.
Yeah.
And she doesn't notice that they're using her own feelings against her.
Right.
And that really causes a lot of dissension in the household because I see it and I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And
because you're not really in the game at all.
Right, it's not his battle.
You're in the stands. You're in the stands, and you're able to see all of this happening and taking place.
Right. It is. I'm wondering if I should tighten her strings because they're playing her.
Yeah.
Well,
I definitely don't know the answer to that for y'all's situation, and probably don't know the answer for many situations. But I can say that because this happens. This is my point of view, and I could be totally wrong. But because all of this happens on such an instinctual level, I think oftentimes it's not going to be undone or changed on a purely conscious level. Just talking about it doesn't necessarily. Like we just talked about, your fear of heights. We've talked about that off and on now for, won't be long. It'll be 2 hours.
Yeah, and we still got another segment to get to.
Do what?
I said, yeah, we still got another segment to get to.
Yeah, and that's not going to change how you instinctively feel the next time you get on the curb, or climbed up on the house. It takes some reverse engineering, to be done in order to literally rewire the brain. Just rewire the brain. And I do think, Miss Ashley, you being conscious of it will give you opportunities to find ways to do it that has more positive outcomes, where it creates a more positive state in your nervous system versus a negative state.
Right.
And over time, then, that personality, part of your personality could shift. It happens to people, normally though it happens, and Bobby, I know you and Kelly, when y'all stayed here, for the week, you and Kelly really meshed perfectly well, and Ashley and I, we discovered we had the same weaknesses. But, so many times these major personality shifts happen when you've just hit rock bottom, when you're just like, that's it. I've literally given the kid my last dollar. I've given everything that could ever possibly be given, and it creates so much pain that your nervous system says, okay, enough of that.
Right.
But for people like me and you, Miss Ashley, the bottom is way, 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 way down there. It's not just
it's the only time. It's the only time in my life where the bottom is way down there.
Yeah.
When it comes to the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, we could give our last dollar and we would still probably be trying to find ways to say yes and do things as much as we could.
Oh, me and Bobby would literally starve before I let my kids go without anything, and that's not just food. I'm getting better. Let me rephrase this. I am getting better.
Yeah. Well, I think the way this ties into tonight's subject, though, is that what we're seeing is a pattern of the way that we deal with our biggest fears after faith is that we realize our help is not external, but really is internal. And then that internal ability has to be, it has to pass through a legitimate therapeutic method to be effective. So anyway,
Right.
That's my rambling on, trying to wrap things up for you, Bobby.
Oh, because you were talking to me, Bobby went and pulled the lasagna out the oven.
What?
Yeah,
See,
this is not
this is
your
what is-
usual Hope After Faith show this week, y'all.
This is what is so awesome about our show is that, I don't know if Bobby's got his mic muted. I don't know if he's,
He does.
like just then he's pulling the lasagna out of the oven while you're talking to me. One of these days, we're all going to be able to do this show on a regular basis in the same, in the same studio, and I will know who's got the lasagna and who doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just took the lasagna out, and now I don't have the heart to tell him that he's got to take the aluminum foil off and then put
Right.
it back in the oven and let it cook for 10 minutes.
You don't have the heart, but you did just tell him anyway.
I know, that's how I handle disappointment.
There you go. You just kind of slide it in sideways there. Yeah, well, I didn't really say it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Well-
really say it.
Well, James just brought up a great point in the chat room where he was talking about he works for a Fortune 500 company, and any mistake he makes is put on public display, and there's lots and lots of anxiety.
Yes,
And that's really a sucky way for the world to function.
it is.
But a lot of the world functions that way. It's one of the reasons why that I've always done so poorly in sales, because oftentimes in sales you have a board Friday, a Friday board call type thing where everybody is in one office or on one conference call, and everybody has to tell what they've done, and it gets written up on the board, and everybody gets to see it. And so inevitably Thursday night, if you're in a sales position, you're struggling like heck to just not be the biggest loser on Friday, who gets a 0, a goose egg written, on the board. But quite honestly, those types of methods develop over time because people are wanting to avoid that pain.
Right.
And the sales manager and the sales organization, let's just be honest, they don't really care whether or not it hurts your feelings or makes you uncomfortable. All they really care about is getting their sales. And so if they have to put you under stress and burn you out to get what they need, then they're going to do it. That's not everybody, obviously, but it's been a lot of people I've been associated with. The reason that doesn't work for me sales-wise is very similar to what you and I have been talking about. Some people are motivated as moving forward. They move towards things. Other people are about moving away from things.
Right.
And there's some weird dynamic in that board call Friday type stuff that my fight or flight kicks in, and most of mine is flight.
Right.
And it's like, I'm just going to bail out. I'm just going to totally, if I'm going to be shamed, then I'm going to give you something to shame about. I'm going to be, I'm going to take control over this by being the worst salesman that there is, or it's some weird thing instead of it doing what it's supposed to do. And
Right.
I think in some weird indirect way, you and I are kind of doing that in our lives to try to overcome rejection. We're
Yes.
actually like the salesman who says, well, never mind then, and doesn't make a sale, thus doesn't make money, thus doesn't go forward. You and I, we know instinctively or on some level that the way that we behave towards other people doesn't benefit us.
Right.
But yet we still do it because it does give us a little sense of control doing it that way. A little bit of control over the relationship and the continuation of the relationship, to where if we stand up for ourselves, if we say no, if we are moving forward types of people, we feel like we lose control over the relationship, and the person may find us not as valuable as they need to stay with us and they may move away.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
your audio is going in and out on us, Jerry.
Is it again?
It is. Are you hardwired?
I'm not hardwired. I intentionally made sure that I did not do that this time since we
Yeah.
struggled with that last time.
It may be on my side. Who knows?
Well,
It may be on our side. But we do have to get to our other segment. We are an hour and a half into this show, and we do have another segment to get to.
people are going to be so unhappy that we're going so long.
Well, some are complaining. That's okay. So I know this conversation could probably continue for another 2 hours, just on this topic. But we did promise that we would do Stump the Preacher tonight.
God, can you see how hard I've been working to get us out of time for that?
Yeah, I'm not going to let that happen. So what we're going to do, and I hope you're okay with this, let's take a break, go refresh drinks, whatever. And then when we come back, we're going to get into Stump the Preacher.
Sure.
And
And let's test audio.
Ooh, I get to draw a number.
You get to draw a number, yes.
And let's test audio when we get back, because now it sounds like y'all are breaking up a little bit as well. So,
Right.
You started it.
For me.
All
I know,
right.
I started
So,
it.
well, we will have 4 minutes to take Spreaker completely down, not Spreaker, Skype down and try it again.
Sounds good.
Okay? So
All right.
let's take this break, and we're going to try to figure out our audio issues. And we will be back, guys.
You're listening to Hope After Faith with Jerry DeWitt and Bobby C.
Visit secularmediagroup.com to see how we're changing the world.
Get in on the conversation. Live tweet during the show at Hope After Faith, or join Jerry and Bobby in the chat room on Spreaker.com.
Get sexy with Dr. Darrell Ray and Secular Sexuality. Only on Secular Media Network.
Previously on Hope After Faith.
We're going to do another live show, brother.
I'm so excited. Let me tell you. I mean, I preached probably, without exaggeration, hundreds of messages against religion. Oh, oh my God. The things that came out of my mouth.
Come on. You know you want to do it. Come on.
Yes. You do love me, Bobby. You do love me. Give me my long lens.
Get that 300 millimeter lens, honey. Focus in real good.
This is what makes me so furious with the atheist movement.
All right, they see a minister, or they see a Christian or a believer of some type doing, saying, being something that they don't like, and they will treat that person as if that person is Hitler and is intentionally trying to exterminate an entire race of people.
Honey, what is this handbasket for? That's what we're going to hell in, honey.
Exactly, that's right. Notice it's a two-seater.
That's our ride to hell.
That's right. Yeah, we got the leather seats just so we'd be comfortable on the descent. Something just dawned on me. Since you are Bobby C,
I am.
I want to be Jerry D. Of course you're here to listen to me, because it's awesome. Because whenever you hear my voice, you imagine my hair.
Do you have what it takes to stump the preacher?
We'll be starting a brand new segment called Stump the Preacher. Several episodes ago, Jerry had me name a person, a place, and an object, and he extemporaneously did a 2-minute sermon using all 3 things. If you think you have what it takes to stump the preacher, call 630-7DWIT. That's 630-7DEWITT, and leave your name and a message with these 3 things:
A name, a location, and an item.
If we receive multiple requests, each will be numbered according to when they were received and placed in a hat.
Once a month, numbers will be drawn live on the air by a third party.
If your number is drawn, your message will be played on the air, and if you stump the preacher, you will receive a very nice gift. Once again, that number to call is 630-7DWIT. That's 630-7DEWITT.
Do you have what it takes to stump the preacher?
I'm not afraid. Yeah. It's been a ride. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you there.
All right, welcome back to Hope After Faith. I think we were able to get Jerry D back.
I'm back. It's
All
breaking
right.
up already, but I am here.
I don't know what in the hell is going on with our audio.
I don't know. It's the first time we've had it this bad.
It is. This is the first time that it's done that it's done us this way. Because there's certain things that I do before the show starts to make sure that everything's going to work fine. I shut the computer completely down, reboot it, all of that, just to try to make sure that everything goes fine. And I don't know, buddy. We are having a heck of a time.
I don't know.
Yes, you are still breaking up.
Am I still breaking up?
Yep.
What the heck?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That is just one of the things, guys, when you do a live show together and it's over, Skype, you are pretty much lassoed to Skype, to the whims of Skype, that is.
It is. Well, we'll just, if they'll suffer with us, we won't be much longer.
No, we won't be too much longer. So what we are going to do is get into our Stump the Preacher. Are you ready for this?
I am ready. I got 99 problems, but preaching ain't one.
There we go. Now, Miss Ashley had to step away for a work call. So,
of course. How could our episode get any more discombobulated?
So I'm going to get Christian's attention. Oh, she's back. I need you to pick a number, Miss Ashley. I don't. Huh?
Tonight is some activeness.
All right. Miss Ashley is drawing a number.
Okay.
And get over there on the mic, Ashley, and tell them what number it is.
Is there a particular number you're hoping, Bobby?
Not really. They're all pretty good.
Oh, God.
I don't get a drum roll or nothing?
No, we don't have time for that.
Okay.
Give me a number.
7.
Number 7. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Okay. Number 7 is we don't know a name. They did not leave a name. So I have no way of knowing who this is.
Who to blame this on?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that they will hear their voice, and if they stump you, if they'll call back, and let us know who it is, we'll make sure that they get their wonderful gift. So, Ashley drew number
7.
Number 7. Okay, so I have to play the audio for number 7. Are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Number 7.
Hi, 3 things for Stump the Preacher would be Vicksburg, Mississippi, Melchizedek, and a skateboard.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Was it Pittsburgh, Mississippi?
It is Melchizedek. Is the person.
Right.
That is from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Vicksburg, okay. Vicksburg, Mississippi.
And the item is skateboard.
Gotcha. You tell me when you're ready.
Hey, I am at your whim, sir. If you think you can do Melchizedek, Mississippi, and skateboard, I'm definitely interested to hear it. So,
well, it's been a long time since I've been put in a position of having to minister. There is an experience, a flowing, a giving, almost like a river that breaks forth at the seams. It's been a long time since I've been in this place where I feel like I'm completely free, like I could fly. It's been a long time since I have felt this liberated, since I have felt like I have completely broken all of the fetters and all of the bonds that have tied me down, and I can tell you that the chains are laying flat on the ground. You can hear the sounds as the fetters fall away. I want you to know that my body has been changed. My soul has been uplifted. My mind has been set free. You will see that I'm now more youthful. I'm more expressive. I'm like a young man on a skateboard making his way down through the valley. There's something speeding me. There's something propelling me. There's something that is drawing me. I don't care who you are and where you come from. You could be all the way from Seattle, Washington to Vicksburg, Mississippi. I'm here to tell you that time is drawing us. Time is pulling us. You may feel as if you have a timeless ministry like Melchizedek, but I'm here to tell you that time is our enemy. Time is challenging us. Time is saying, preacher, can you get it done in 2 minutes? Can you find a way to craft a message that'll speak to a people? Can you find a way to open hearts? Can you find a way to open minds? Can you find a way in just 2 minutes to stump the preacher? I'm here to tell you that you cannot.
Man, what? Oh, man. Hold on. There's applause in there somewhere. I'm doing this one-handed here, folks. That is good, Jerry. You managed to get Melchizedek, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and a skateboard in there. Guys, I don't know how he does it. I'm not even going to lie. That was, to me, looking at it, that was one of the harder ones. So, I don't know who they are. It says name unknown. But they didn't leave a name for us. So whoever that is, it seems like you did not stump the preacher, my friend. And we're going to do this.
I'm sorry.
Well, that is what, if you remember right in pre-show, I was telling you that there's a couple in here that were really going to be tough. And when she drew number 7, that was one of the ones I'm like, I don't know. That's going to be tough. And you did it. So congratulations, sir. I'm sorry, number 7, you did not stump the preacher, but you know what? We're definitely going to keep on this journey to stump the preacher.
Well, what we'll do is, if you can keep good notes, Bobby, because you've been so good at it so far, what we'll do is we'll make it harder each time. And since I used the technique of going from Seattle, Washington to Vicksburg, Mississippi, I can't use that for a place again. I can't use that technique for place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't know how in the heck I'm going to keep up with that.
Well, I don't know either. I'll try to remember. Somebody can call in an audible. They can call in a technicality, a technical stump, if I do the same thing back to back.
Yeah. Well, I think if you did the same thing back to back, we would know it. You know, we go, okay, no, you did that. You did that last month. You know, we will stop it and we will do, something different. But you know what? To the 9 people that called us and gave us these Stump the Preacher messages, thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
We had some that were Donald Trump, Jurassic Park, and orange spray tan. We had some that was Mr. Green Jeans, the Land of Misfit Toys, and Ice Cream Scoop. One was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
One was Ken Ham, The Great Beyond, and the Necronomicon.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
That was the hardest one. One was Aunt Jemima, like the syrup lady. The Smoky Mountains and a coffee cup. I mean, and it just went on and on and on. And I was like, Donald Trump, Suarez, Mexico, and a wall. So I mean, we did get some very interesting ones. So to all of those people that called in and left us those, thank you very much. Let me ask you something, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
No, never mind. I think I'd rather have new ones come in every single time.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely hold on to them, and there's probably a use for them. I don't want anybody to feel like that, it's a total waste if they didn't get picked, but it's probably good for new ones to come in. If nothing else, with all that Trump stuff, it may be something that get picked that's very, very relevant.
Yeah. So still, guys, do call in, leave a name, a location, and an item, and we will see if you have what it takes to stump the preacher. Unfortunately, Jerry didn't get stumped tonight.
I so wish that this was one of the ones that was called, because I think this one would have stumped him. Atheist Ian says in the chat room, Miss Ashley, Sweet Tea, and Lake
Titicaca. Yeah.
Titicaca?
Yeah. Well, Atheist Ian, you need to call that in on the voicemail line. That's 630-7.
And it may get picked. Yeah.
It may. 7 DeWitt, DEWITT. That's 6307 DeWitt for Stump the Preacher. This is something that we're wanting to do every single month. The last episode of each and every month, we're wanting to do a Stump the Preacher. Now, unfortunately, me kind of operating on one hand for the last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to do a lot of audio work. So we will get a like music that you play at the beginning of a segment. Right. So this will have its own music and its own advertisement.
I told you I would help, but you just won't show me.
We don't mute. We're gonna go ahead and mute her mic right now. I don't know. Well, this has been a very deep topic tonight that I honestly think we could go on and on and on about. You know, when it comes to anxiety attacks, when it comes to fear, when it comes to those things that kind of cripple us, you know, mentally. And I know there are many, many people that are probably dealing with these situations every single day. We've seen it in the chat room tonight, people sharing some of the things that they are afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sorry that we had the audio issues that we had. This is not something that commonly happens.
Apologize for the cooking.
Yeah, well, the cooking wouldn't have happened if Ashley would have got home from work on time. It would have been done already. So we apologize for the problems. That's one of the things of being lassoed to Skype. You know, sometimes Skype does well, sometimes Skype doesn't treat us very well at all. Yeah. And tonight was one of those times that it did not treat us very well. So to everyone who called in, thank you. Do me a favor, please keep calling in with those. You guys really do have some great ideas, and there's there's another one on here that I think might have got him. It's just a matter of that's the way. It's Ashley's fault. She's the one that drew the number.
And think about this. I actually drew my favorite number.
I know. See
that? 7.
See that?
So that was lucky number 7.
Yeah.
And Ashley, do you have any idea numerology, Bible numerology, what 7 stands for?
It's probably the well, hold on. This is a non-explicit. I mean, it's not explicit, right?
This is a clean show.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Ashley.
Yeah.
But can I refer to a Bible verse that involves donkeys?
No, that is not number 7.
Okay, because I didn't know if maybe it referred to the size.
No.
Okay. No, I do not.
What in the hell? Bye, Miss Ashley.
No,
Good
Jerry,
Lord.
I do not know what the number 7 in biblical terms means.
Well, it's all made up, so there's different lists. But the one that I grew up learning was 7 was perfection.
Yes.
It was completion.
Right.
So that goes right back to our conversation with you about needing to be perfect.
Yep. See, I was about to say, I am perfection, which is why I'm scared to disappoint.
There you go.
All right. Well, folks, we want to thank you very much for joining us tonight for this show that we did tonight.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to derail your show for the evening.
Bye, Miss Ashley.
Bye.
I give up, Jerry.
Oh, man, it's all good. I think it works out so well.
I give up. I just do. Well, guys, if you think you have what it takes to stump the preacher, call in 630-7-DEWIT. That's 630-7-DEWITT. Call in and leave us your location, name, location, and an item to stump the preacher with. We got 9 for this month, so I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more options for us to pull from. And maybe if this kind of gets some legs and takes off running, maybe we can do it more than once a month.
Sure.
You know, maybe we can do it every other week, every 2 weeks. So it all depends on how many we get, the popularity of it. If we get a lot of messages from people, and maybe we can do every other week.
You got 9 of them?
Yes.
That's ironic. Because you only have 9 fingers.
Bye, Ashley.
Oh.
See, I turned your mic back on because I thought you actually had something serious to say.
Oh.
No, I actually have been listening to y'all tonight. Honestly, don't mute me. I was saying something nice. I've actually been listening to y'all tonight, and I actually got to follow a lot in the chat room, and there were a lot of great conversations in the chat room, and I really enjoyed listening to you two sit there and just cackle back and forth.
Cackling. That's what we do.
Talking.
So we cackle.
Talking.
Got it.
I'm a Southern woman. We have those that means a good thing.
Jerry.
I'm trying to give you, because I don't.
Still here, Bobby.
Okay.
I'm trying to give y'all a compliment.
This is her trying to give compliments. Just listen.
I'm going to listen.
It is
I
funny.
think the best compliment that I could give y'all is
Cackling.
to go into the kitchen and cut that lasagna up.
That doesn't do much for me.
That's true.
That's not my hey, not my monkey, not my circus.
So we should be back on Thursday night next week.
Yes. There were a couple of messages in the chat room earlier asking if Tuesday was going to be our new day.
We hope not. It's just
no.
our parachute. It's our fallback.
No. Unfortunately, we've had a lot going on. Jerry's had a lot going on his side. I've got doctor's appointments galore and everything going on from this side. And it's one of those things, guys, where instead of not giving you a live show, we decided to do it on Tuesday. The only other option was to do a pre-recorded show, and we enjoy the chat room. We enjoy watching a conversation that goes on in the chat room, and we pull a lot from that room itself. So, yes, we did kind of do another Tuesday show, and you know what, Jerry, it's liable to happen again.
Oh, it will definitely happen again. We got a lot of big changes coming up in our lives. There's a lot of things that are happening, and so yeah, it will definitely happen again. But Thursday, at the moment, still remains our night.
Yeah, I kind of like Thursday.
Yeah, because on Tuesday you messing all up my date night.
Oh, I'm messing up your date night?
You got a date night?
Wow.
When the hell did we get a date night?
But here's the deal.
you.
It's me and Bobby. I mean, Miss Ashley, as much as I enjoy you being here, I don't want to mess up your date night. So if you need to go out with somebody, go ahead, and I'll keep Bobby entertained.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, I got him covered.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Let Kelly know I'll be there shortly.
Tim, but before you do that, go cut the lasagna. But before you do that.
I will, because I got to take some to Kelly.
Okay. All right, guys, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker. If you are joining us on Spreaker, do me a favor. Please go over to Spreaker.com/user/Hope After Faith Podcast and follow us on Spreaker. We're trying to get those follows up, and we have broken 100, but we still want to see that climb, guys. So if you will go over there, follow the show on Spreaker. You will get emails from Spreaker telling you when we are live, and it really helps us out tremendously. It truly does. Also, you can go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. We haven't had one of those in a while, Jerry. I'm starting to think they don't love us anymore.
I between people not following, people not 5-starring, I don't know. I would say I'd go get up on the roof, but now that I know how bad that bothers you to imagine it, I'm going to come up with something else.
Yeah, you're going to have to come up with something than getting on the roof, buddy. I'm going to come up with something else to do that. All right,
He's going to get on top of a lighthouse.
So we have no new iTunes ratings to read for you guys this week. So if you're enjoying us, let us know. I mean, just
please
look.
I tried to tell y'all I enjoyed the show tonight.
Thank you, Ashley. Do we have to beg? I mean, beg and plead. You know, I mean, I don't know what all y'all expect from us, but
I'll beg.
And Jerry is good at begging.
I'll beg. I'll beg.
Jerry will beg. He will. I'm telling you, he will.
I stopped growing at 5'5". I know how to beg. half the time I'm begging, people think I'm on my knees, and I'm not. I'm standing straight up.
See, they thought you was praying. You was just standing up talking. I understand.
That's exactly right.
So seriously, guys, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the back and forth banter and everything, go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating. Let us know. Those ratings truly do help us out, guys. The more 5-star ratings and the more ratings we have, the more you're going to help us gain new listeners. Those ratings are very important. They kind of give someone who has never listened to the show before an idea of how we're doing, and maybe it'll encourage them to listen to the show. So go to iTunes, 5-star rating, or however many stars you want to give us. Just give us a rating. Jerry, if you will, sir, let them know where they can find your book, where they can find you, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So the book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, probably any of your online outlets, you'll be able to still get a copy of the hardback. If you would like a signed copy of the hardback, one of the funner ways of doing that, I think, is to go to jerrydewitt.net and become one of our patrons. You can choose a multiple of levels, and Paul and I would appreciate any level that you would choose. And on top of that, I've got a couple little extra time, a few openings if you're interested in me helping you, mentor you through some transitions or some issues, then shoot me a message on Facebook. We could talk about what kind of relationship we could work out in that way. And so I think, Bobby, that covers it all.
I think it does too. Matter of fact, Jerry, can I have a relationship?
You can have a relationship,
cool.
Bobby. You surely can. Yes, you
Okay.
can. And what'd be interesting is you pay me, then I'll turn around and pay you. And,
we can't do that because that's called a circle jerk. We can't do that.
Whoa, after show.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Guys, if
but I am doing some, as bad as I hate to refer to it as this, but that's what people recognize it as, some life coaching. So,
yes.
Seriously, if you are interested, just give me a shout. Probably the quickest way to grab me is going to be through Facebook Messenger, and I've got a little bit of spaces opening up, and I'd love to bring some of you in.
Yeah, maybe do some mentoring, right?
Yeah, well, you know, what's ended up happening in the past is a lot of work with people who are transitioning. And, you know, of course, it started out with transitioning, you know, from faith to after faith. But after a while, it became obvious that all those same techniques help with a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if anybody knows our story, then they know that we have survived and then thrived from everything from, you know, global rejection to bankruptcy, you name it. We've worked our way out of it, and we paid attention as we were doing it. And so that has now become one of my primary objectives, is coaching people through those situations.
And I think that's awesome. So, guys, if that is something that you think that you can use, by all means, please contact Jerry on Facebook. Send him an instant message. I know he would love to hear from you. Jerry has so much great advice. There's many times that I go to Jerry whenever, just through the week, when I've got something going on. I pick up the phone and I call Jerry, and Jerry gives very good advice, and he's extremely helpful. So if that is something you can use, please do so. Thank you, James. James said, this has been one of my favorite shows. Great job, guys. And also, there's a way for you to make money. Atheist Ian said, how much for Jerry to record my voicemail message in preaching voice? That would be awesome. And James said, OMG, I would pay so much money for that.
You know, I've gotten to the place in my life that I've done so much stuff for free that I probably would sell those voicemail messages. Facebook me. We'll see. Send me a message. We may work something out.
We might. James said, well, I don't know where you're calling from or who you're trying to reach.
I don't know where you're calling from.
Or who you're trying to reach.
That's right. But I know who you've got on the other end. And it ain't me.
It ain't me. That's right. This is a recording from Jerry D. No. Contact Jerry, Atheist Ian, and James. You never know. You might be able to work out something.
You might catch me needing to pay a bill, and ain't no telling what I did for how much.
Look, I understand that completely. After show, guys, if you do want to contact us on Facebook, you can contact us at facebook.com/Hope After Faith podcast. That is also where you can find Jerry if you want to maybe get a coaching session or some mentoring going. So you can do that at Hope After Faith podcast on Facebook. You can also Hope After Faith on Twitter, or you can email us hopeafterfaithpodcast@gmail.com. So, remember, 6307-DEWITT. That is 6307-DeWitt for Stump the Preacher, or if you just want to call us and tell us how we're doing. Our closing song is called, is not applause. Sorry, our closing
Somebody's
song.
glad the show's over. Thank God, the closing song.
Look, this has been fun trying to do this one-handed.
I would imagine.
It is. Our closing song is Last Prayer by Chris Beeland. We're going to dedicate this to Sammy Bannister. We miss you and we love you. If you can find Chris's music at chrisbeeland.bandcamp.com, go check him out. For Secular Media Group and Hope After Faith, until next week.
Be brave, my friends.
It's lonely when you fade away in a lifetime, and it's lonely when you're out in space with no lifeline. And slowly then you turn around and you notice the length and the time when your heart stops beating. Oh, why won't you come settle down? Stop wasting your time and your mind going on believing. No, this won't change. Lord knows you know I can't tell where I'm going, to heaven or falling in hell, are my predictions. I only speak what I have heard, and the sound of your words can do my soul while my soul is here just bleeding. You know my love, it won't hurt. Stop wasting your time, your mind going on believing. Oh, this won't change.